From Anshe Sfard Beth El Emeth Congregation, it's time to take 10 minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of Parashat Vayera, Zerizut, Alacrity, trying to do things at the first opportune moment. The Gemara in Pesachim says that the fact that Avraham woke up early to do what he did in our Parsha, to pray before God, that shows that you should always do your mitzvot at the earliest possible moment. The Yalkut Shimoni, a collection of Midrash, says that that it's when he went to pray, it's not when he went to the binding of Isaac, rather it's when he went to pray. That was the source. The Psikta says that Vayimaher Avraham, that when he went quickly, that shows that he should act. With alacrity, he did so in Achnasas Orchim, in inviting the guests, and that shows that alacrity is important also interpersonally as well. Now, there's another idea called ziruz, of just trying to do things, in an excited kind of way and do it properly, and zihirut, carefully. That's another idea. It's often expressed in the idea of tzav b'nei Yisrael, to act with alacrity in the sense not so much of timing, but how you are careful about it. Now, when the mitzvah is about some sort of doing that you're supposed to do, then usually then you have to try to do it early and at the best possible moment. But there are some mitzvos where it's not about the action, it's about the result. Like, it's not about getting married, it's the marriage itself. And therefore, the marriage itself, when it takes place, it'll take place. In the meantime, it's okay if you push it off to some degree. Now, when it comes to Kiddush Levana, ideally we do Kiddush Levana, the blessing of the new moon, on Saturday night, because we're most well dressed and it's most appropriate to do this prayer at that time. It's considered greeting God. You want to greet God in a proper way when you're properly dressed after Shabbos. But there could be opportunities before that to do Kiddush Levana. Let's say on a Tuesday night, you see a beautiful, clear night. So should you do it now, or should you wait for Saturday night? So the Vilna Gaon says, Zrizim Makdim, we said that there's a special mitzvah to do things early, so do it now. But the Trumas Hadesha, and most people say, wait till Saturday night. Doing it properly, that's the most important thing. To do it properly, not to do it right away. Now, if Avraham is so careful to do things so early, why did he wake up in the morning? If he heard the prophecy at night, why didn't he wake up at night? So the answer is that at night there was no mitzvah. When it comes to the bringing of Isaac was a sacrifice. Sacrifices are only done during the day, so there's no point in waking up at night. This presumes that the idea of alacrity is part of the mitzvah, and therefore it has to follow the rules of that mitzvah. If, however, alacrity is a separate value, and we sort of attach it to the mitzvah, so then you could wake up extra early, even in the middle of the night, to do it before the day. It doesn't have to follow all the rules of that particular mitzvah. Also, what about the preparation? There was a story of a grandson of the Rebbe Kiva Eger, who was a chassid, and he liked to, when he became a sandik, when he would hold the baby, he wanted to prepare himself spiritually for hours before he did so. So the question was, can you use this sandik? If you use this sandik, you can't have the bris till 12 o'clock in the afternoon. But he wanted to have the bris in the morning, so should they use him altogether? So some wanted to argue that, what do you mean? That's what Avraham did. He got up early in the morning, he didn't just go and run. He prepared. Preparation is important also, and if you have alacrity in doing your preparation, it's okay if you don't get to the mitzvah itself till a little bit later. Also, we know that when all the Jews had the bris milah, so Moshe did the bris, and Yoshua assisted with another part of the bris. So isn't that a inefficient way to do it? No, but since it's the best way to have a bris is to have it with Moshe and Yoshua doing the bris, therefore it's okay if it took more time, since you did it in the best kind of way. However, you would think that since we usually apply this idea of alacrity to the bris, that Avraham did his bris first thing in the morning. But he didn't. He did it B'etzem Hayom Hazeh. He did it in the middle of the day, so no one could say that he was afraid or what, that everyone would know that he believes in God. So we see that he did it in the best way possible, not in the earliest way, because when there's a conflict between doing it in the best way, the earliest, doing it the best way seems to win out. So that, therefore, let's say Kiddush Levana, you would want to do it Saturday night from that perspective. Now, there are various laws that could be analyzed from this perspective of, is it part of the mitzvah or is it an addendum to the mitzvah? So we say, is it a Torah law or not a Torah law? So let's say you say that it's a Torah law to have alacrity. But let's say you're doing a rabbinic mitzvah. You're lighting Hanukkah candles. Well, it's a bad example because Hanukkah candles have a very specific time to do them. But let's assume that you thought that for whatever reason, you could light the candles all night. So is there a mitzvah to do a rabbinic mitzvah? Would it be a Torah mitzvah to light my Hanukkah candles early? Or no, since it's a rabbinic mitzvah, and since the Zerizut, this alacrity is part of the mitzvah, it becomes attached to it and becomes a rabbinic mitzvah. Or no, there's a separate value, it's a Torah value to do all mitzvot, rabbinic, not rabbinic, to do them with alacrity. If you did your rabbinic mitzvah with alacrity, you get the Torah mitzvah of doing things with alacrity, even though the fulfillment is only a rabbinic law. This idea of Zrizim Makdim Mitzvot could easily be confused with some other terms, and Rabbi Asher Weiss lays out how they're a little bit different. Chaviva mitzvah b'shaita, that it's beloved to do a mitzvah at its right time, is not the same as doing it early. It means there's a certain time to do it, an ideal time, and a less than ideal time. Then ein ma'avirin al mitzvah. That means if there's a certain time or place that you pass by, and rather than doing the mitzvah, that would be a violation. So, and then there's also the idea of shihui mitzvah lo mashina, that you don't want to miss out on doing it. Sometimes if you delay, you're going to miss doing it altogether. And that's also an important concept. So, hidur mitzvah is something that goes all the way back to Avram Avinu. It's something it's basic to showing that we care about the mitzvos, and we try to do it with alacrity. We try to do it at the best time, the first time, but sometimes doing it in the right way could overrule doing it in the earliest way. So, as we do mitzvot, let's try to do them in the earliest and in the best way. Thank you for joining us here at the Anshi's Vayera Beth El congregation for a discussion of alacrity. Join us each week for a discussion of the holidays and the Parsha. And thanks to Jason Lefkowitz, our producer. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein. To learn more, visit asb.org.